country in the world, and it is worth fighting for. It is worth bleeding for. And if it takes it, it's worth dying for the greatest country that this world has ever seen.
Welcome to the Dear America program. Chad Prather filling in for Graham Allen yet again. TikTok, a lot of big announcements coming in the days ahead, and they are exciting for the Dear America family. Hope everybody had a fantastic Easter weekend. We will go ahead and mention right off the top that Pope Francis passed away at 7:35 a.m. At their time, about 3 o'clock in the morning, our time, I believe it was. So rest in peace, Pope Francis. We'll talk about that a little bit more. I know there are a lot of folks out there with mixed emotions about Pope Francis, but we will just say rest in peace. And we'll talk about that. There's a lot of things to get into today. But more importantly, Jesus is alive. And I hope you guys had a great Easter Sunday, great weekend, putting faith and family first, which is where the priority needs to be. And you guys, as we see just the Rumble numbers going higher and higher, I appreciate Rumble and appreciate you guys being here in the live chat. And those of you who are over there under the Google overlords of YouTube, jump over here to the Dear America channel on Rumble and get involved with the live chat. Join the fam. Come on. It is Monday morning, folks, April 21st. What is going on? Let me just say, Patriots, I want you to just listen to something I got. I just want to get something off my chest here, a little bit different angle here. I want you to lend me your ears, lend me your thumbs, if you will, because you're probably sitting there on your couch, you're sipping your black coffee, you got that little mug that says, come and take it, I love you, I know you, I see you. You're sitting there trying to wonder how you're just thinking about how can you save America? Well, I'm going to tell you how to do it one pixel at a time. Guess what? You can right there, right now, in the chat, you see this sacred little space, this digital campfire of truth. We don't just watch the show here at Dear America, folks. We engage in it. We don't just sit in silence while freedom burns. No, we stoke the flames of liberty with the only thing more powerful than a strongly worded letter to your congressman. We use emojis. Yes, emojis, the modern day musket of the patriot keyboard warrior, and here we are. When I say something that makes you nod so hard that you spill your drink and spit it out your nose, I want you to blow up the chat. Folks, when I drop a truth bomb so real that it singes your eyebrows, I want you to blow up the chat. When the left melts down faster than a vegan at a Texas barbecue, I want you to blow up the chat. When we say cry libs cry, blow up the chat. Not with tofu, not with safe spaces. We want you to do it with flags, American ones. Put those American flags in the chat. I want so many stars and stripes in the chat this morning that Betsy Ross herself rises from the grave and starts sewing again. I want the chat to look like the 4th of July threw up on your phone. I don't want you just to stop there. Throw in some eagles, throw in some fire emoji or two. Heck, drop a donkey with a line through it. I don't care. Let big tech know that we haven't gone quietly into the digital night. We've gone loudly into the comment section with constitutional fury. That's right. You think Paul Revere warned the British with silence? No, he yelled, and so should you, in the chat. So the next time I say something like men can't get pregnant and half of California is going to spontaneously combust or have an earthquake that makes it fall off into the sea, I don't want you to sit there like a fact checker at a NASCAR rally. I want you to rise up. I want you to flood that chat with the kind of emoji power that would make George Washington dab in his powdered wig, because here on this show, here on Dear America, we don't do safe. We do loud. We do free. We do it with digital fireworks. So blow it up, baby. Let's make the comment section look like Normandy and the Boston Tea Party had a baby in Texas. Listen, I want you guys to blow up the chat. Show me those American flags. Let's get fired up on a Monday morning. I feel like that's like a great commercial. Like, this message has been brought to you by Freedom Guts and an unhealthy dose of sarcasm. Remember, if you're not blowing up the chat, you might be part of the problem. I don't even care if you're a troll. Hit those flags, Patriots, and God bless the United States of America. What a day, what a weekend it is. Wow, I'm just excited to be living in the greatest time in human history, folks, and here we are. I want to talk to you about my friends over at American Financing. They got a deal for you right now. If you will call them up over there at American Financing, they can help you. There's a lot of people out there that are living off of credit cards. And credit cards, the use of it's gone through the roof, but so have interest rates. And a lot of people just cannot get out of the skyrocketing credit card debt. It's leaving a lot of people stressed out, a lot of people worrying. But I want to give you some hope. If you're a homeowner, You don't have to face all that crap alone. You don't have to deal with that uncertainty. My friends over at American Financing, they can help you take control of the debt you're dealing with. They can help you access the equity in your home and help you pay down that high-interest credit card debt and give you some peace of mind and real savings. Now, on average, when they help people just like you, those folks are saving on average $800 a month. Plus, they may be able to help you close that loan in as little as 10 days. So don't let the chaos of the economy get the best of you. Call American Financing today. It costs you nothing to get started. The folks that work with American Financing, they're not commissioned, so they're not going to upsell you. They are salaried, so they're going to tell you the truth. You might even be able to delay 2 mortgage payments, which is going to give you a cushion in the uncertain time. Call them, 888-675-4090. That's 888-675-4090. You can go check them out at americanfinancing.net/Chad, but give them a call. Get serious about this and get yourself a little bit of relief. 888-675-4090. They're patriots. They love you. They got your values at hand, and you're not going to find yourself deeper and deeper in debt. They will help you get out of that. Call them up at American Finance. Disclaimer, NMLS 182334, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. All right, let's get into the show. Oh, boy, there's some crazy things going on in our world, but you would not expect anything less. Before we go any further, I need a little help. And you guys, I want you to welcome him to the program. Happy Easter to everybody's favorite guy from, well, he's north of the border, but he looks like he comes from south of the border. Whatever. Mexican Tony's in the house. What's up, buddy?
Do I really look like I come from south of the border?
Tony, I want to say before you say anything, I saw your family's Alyssa, Graham Allen's great. Alyssa Allen, she posted the big family picture of you guys. I saw it in the story on Instagram.
Yeah.
You're whiter than the whole family.
I am, yeah.
Like, you are Anglo, bro.
I am, yeah. Yep. I honestly, I'm allergic to the sun. That's how I got out of doing a lot of yard work. You know, the whole stereotypical go mow the lawn kind of thing. I was like, no, I can't do it. Yep, I can't do it. So.
You know what? I'll take my vitamin D. How about that?
Exactly, yep.
I don't need it. Here's a guy I spent the weekend with, or at least Saturday night, and it felt like a weekend in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. He and his wife, Kendra, they drove down to hang out for our show for the Right Side of Comedy, Gulf of America Comedy Tour show. Everybody's favorite redneck. We had a blast, didn't we? Hot Seat Todd's in the house. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, we did. Dude, I had a great time, man. Happy Easter. Hope everybody's weekend went right. I hope that you strengthen your relationship with Christ over the weekend. And more importantly, I hope that you helped somebody to make an eternal decision this weekend, because that's what this weekend was all about. But it was a great weekend. I enjoyed myself.
Todd, before we, you please tell us something about that shirt, man. That is an awesome looking shirt you got going on.
I
there,
do.
Dude.
So Jesse Payton, the guy, the hilarious comedian that opens for Chad, he was wearing this shirt on stage. And what's the name of the charity, Chad?
It's Wheelchairs for Warriors.
Yeah,
I'm on the advisory board of Wheelchairs for Warriors. They provide wheelchairs for not only veterans, but first responders as well. And people say, well, wheelchairs, just a wheelchair. You're used to the wheelchair that they roll you out after a procedure at the hospital. No, people who spend the rest of their life in a wheelchair, you're talking $65,000, $75,000, expensive chairs. And then there's chairs for different purposes. And so we work hard every year to raise money, and that's one of the things that Jesse does is he sells that shirt.
He sells this is the shirt he was wearing. And no, Jesse, if you're watching, I haven't washed it. I smell like you this morning.
That's literally the one he wears on stage.
Literally the one he wore on stage. And you got to donate some money to get the shirt, and it's for a good cause. I'm a veteran myself, and I will, whenever you guys decide to do that event, me and Kendra will be there to work. We'll be there to work.
Yeah, we do a charity comedy benefit here in Texas in November that raises money. All the proceeds go to that with a number of great comedians. But that shirt, people can't really tell it from the thing. I always say, listen, you guys have had to listen to it. When I come on stage, I say, you guys, thank you for listening to a gay disco ball for the last 40 minutes, Jesse Payton, because that thing shines. It sparkles.
It's so
There's
bright, man.
Look. And it's a heavy shirt. It really is.
It weighs 5 pounds. I'm telling you.
And we'll go places in cities where we've been, and that thing will be framed somewhere, And Jesse's raised, I don't know how many, hundreds of thousands of dollars just selling the shirts that he wears on stage and raising money. The proceeds go to Wheelchairs for Warriors. So big shout out for them. Let me just say, boys, I know this is what you wanted to get into in the latest installment of Celebrities Say the Darndest Things. The actor and formerly relevant, I guess, John Cusack once again has taken to X to share his unique holiday cheer. This time he wished everybody a happy Easter by comparing the crucifixion of Christ to a political calculation by the Trumps of the day. That's right. If you voted for Trump, then in his estimation, you murdered Christ. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think of Easter, I think of resurrection and hope and maybe an occasional chocolate bunny or two, but not political hot takes from the star of Say Anything. But hey, I mean, when you got a guy like John Cusack, in his world, every holiday is an opportunity for political analogy, and progressively woke cook fashion, Cusack, used the holiday to make a political statement. And more importantly, I don't think we should be taking our theological insights from a guy whose most iconic role involved holding a boombox over his head. He should have dropped it on himself.
I mean, I just want to ask the Peckerwood, like, the guy you voted for celebrated Trans Visibility Day last Easter.
Sure did.
So, like, you might want to sit this one out, bro.
Yeah, he sure did.
That's disappointing. I mean, I used to be a John Cusack fan. Some of his movies are funny, whatnot. But I mean, the fact that he said something like this, I mean, comparing what our Lord and Savior went through with this whole political thing is just it's so disgusting. I mean, we went to church on Sunday, and they went through the whole resurrection, crucifixion. They went through the whole story of good, the whole week. And it was great to hear everything, but if you dive into the deep detail of how he was crucified and all the torture that he went through, for this idiot to say something political about it is just disgusting.
Yeah, throw a little CLC in the chat. Cried, let's cry.
Massive CLC.
This is
there.
Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, whether it's him or Stephen King or we were talking about All in the Family, Meathead, Rob Reiner. These guys, they are literal, like they're consumed with it. CLC in the chat. Cry lives cry. I love watching the meltdown. These people, whatever brain cells they had, the synapses are no longer firing. If you're going to take that, to your point, Tony, you're going to take that and you're going to roll it out, and everything has to be about Trump supporters, whatever, and the crucifixion of Christ. I'm going to say that the crucifixion, the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, my Savior, I doubt it has made a massive impact in the life of John Cusack. Now, I'm not going to judge the guy, but based on what I've seen, I'm thinking that that's never been a high priority of his. I'm not going to worry too much about his opinion.
No, he full-blooded rooster fish, like full-blooded.
I mean, he was that close. He was that close to making a decent statement about celebrating the sacrifice of Christ. He was that close, folks. He was that close, and he had to make it about Trump and Trump supporters. So, you know what? Hollywood is failing. It is falling. The Democrat Party is failing and falling. They have built their house on they built it on a foundation of sand, dude, and it's a fault line, and it's awfully shaky these days, and that little house of cards is crumbling, and they can't get out of their own
I wouldn't give them
dadgum
sand.
way.
They're building their house in a swamp.
Yeah,
it ain't saying no more, man. It's like every time you turn around, they just digging it deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper.
Well, let me ask you guys this: if you guys, because this happened, a lot of news broke like overnight. Like for instance, we get into like Klaus Schwab leaving the World Economic Forum in a moment, but like, did you guys see any clips from Charlie Kirk?
And Bill Maher.
Charlie.
He did. Yeah,
he went on Bill Maher's show, and you go. Did you call him Maurer?
Maurer. Bill Maurer. That's not how you say it?
No, COVID.
Oh.
It's Bill Maher. But it doesn't matter. It was a great moment to make fun of you, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
But he goes on Bill Maher, and you got to give it to Charlie. I mean, Charlie he's awfully articulate, right? Awfully bold. But it was interesting to hear Bill Maher talk about how we're going to keep losing if we keep playing these politics, these identity politics, this gross miscalculation of stuff. But man, he made a good point, Bill Maher. He said they're trying to kill me more than they're trying to kill you.
Yeah, they are.
He said they eat their own far quicker and far more violently than they do the people that they oppose. But here is the perspective of Easter that you should have, and this comes from President Donald Trump. Take a look at this clip of what he had to say real quick.
On Easter Sunday, we celebrate his glorious resurrection and proclaim, as Christians have done for nearly 2,000 years, he is risen. Through the pain and sacrifice of Jesus on the cross, we saw God's boundless love and devotion to all humanity. And in that moment of his resurrection, history was forever changed with the promise of everlasting life. As we approach this joyous Easter Sunday, I want to wish Christians everywhere a happy and beautiful and blessed holiday. Yeah. America is a nation of believers. We need God. We want God. And with his help, we will make our nation stronger, safer, greater, and more prosperous, and much more united than ever before. Thank you to everyone, and have a really happy Easter.
And that's how it's supposed to be done.
That's
right
how it's supposed to be done. And there'll be people who criticize and say, well, he's reading it off a teleprompter. Listen, I don't know about you, but when I hear my president say stuff like that, whether he's reading it or however he's making that statement, that gets me more fired up than a fireworks finale. It really does.
Yeah,
like that
100%.
is a call. It is a call by the leader of your nation to remember that our nation's strength doesn't just come from our military might or from economic power. It comes from our faith, our values, our unwavering belief in something greater than ourselves. And listen, if you're feeling inspired, do what I said. Go ahead, blow up the chat with some prayer hands, emojis. You know, type God in there. Put God in the chat. Let's show the world that the Spirit of America is alive and well. And I mean that, the Spirit of America. There is something powerful, guys, when you're the leader of the free world, the leader of your country, chooses to make that statement. There's something, because when you put words out there, you rise to pursue the confession, right? Yep. So when that's the leader saying, listen, this is the statement I want to make, this is what I want to say, you put that out there, there's something powerful behind it, and it's inspiring to me. What do you guys think?
100%. I mean, you never heard Biden, you never heard any of those guys talk like this. I mean, like I said earlier, Biden celebrated freaking Trans Visibility Day on Easter. And listen, if you're a Christian, if you're not a Christian, that's on you. That's your personal thing. But we can't not look at the fact that the majority of this country are Christians. The majority celebrate the Christian faith. And for the leader of that nation to come out and say, Happy Trans Visibility Day, America, and not even mention Easter, and you got the Easter Bunny on one side and a transgender person on the other side covering their boobs, like what?
That's true.
This long time coming, long time coming. You know, God, the Holy Spirit, Jesus is back in the White House where it should be. Now, is Trump perfect? No, not perfect. He's made mistakes. He's done things that, he's sinned just like all of us. But the difference, and before you jump on the wagon of, well, he's a sinner, so are you. And it's a difference. It's a difference between making mistakes and sinning and living on principle. And that's what the Biden administration and the left are doing right now. They're living in principle, where murdering babies should be legal, where you or dude can get pregnant and menstruate and all that. That's principle belief. That's a belief system versus just making mistakes. So I'm glad to see Donald Trump in the White House. I'm glad to see Donald Trump talking about Jesus on Easter, putting God exactly where he should be, and that is at the top of this country.
I like it.
Well, I think that's 100% right. Nail on the head there, Todd. But but I just wanted to say that it's great to see our president just be presidential more than anything. I mean, he didn't say anything offensive. He said Happy Easter he said words like, hopefully, we'll get more united. He was just being very presidential, very, very common sense, down to earth, person. He didn't say anything to, make anybody mad, any kind of political statement. It was just simply everybody have a happy Easter, and it was very good to see him do something like that. I was pretty impressed with him. Just even if he was reading it off a teleprompter, it doesn't matter. I mean, the fact that he came out and he said something like that,
it was a statement he wanted to make.
Exactly.
It was a statement he wanted to make. It's not like they surprised him with the teleprompter and said, he's like, what am I reading? No, it was a statement that he wanted to make, and so I appreciate that. And by the way, folks, I'm curious to hear it in the live chat. Those of you who are watching the show, I'm curious to know. Tell me how many times you saw the Biden administration, anybody with hands being laid on them and prayer circles around them, and people of faith who are, regardless of whether you like a Paula White or whoever might be in that faith circle, regardless of that. And the only time I ever saw it was when Kamala Harris went to a very progressively liberal black church when she was running for president, and then they prayed for her there. But they made some pretty progressive statements during the whole thing as well. But tell me when you've seen somebody on the left who's been getting prayed over as consistently and commonly as, say, Donald Trump has been over the last 8 years.
Never. The only time you see them in church, and the only time you hear about something from their side on church, is either Jasmine Crockett going to a church talking about I ain't picking cotton no more, or you've got that leftist libtard epitard church down there protesting MAGA, but the Target right down the road is selling transgender clothes for kids, and they don't say a word.
Yeah. Well,
so yeah, back up and punt, folks.
Well, it's interesting that on Easter, you have I listen. I'm not gonna say a whole lot about the Pope. I know that the Pope, that position holds a lot of reverence for folks that are in here that are Catholics, and you know, but I'm not a Catholic. I'm not a Catholic, and I didn't like this Pope. I'll just tell you that. That doesn't mean I want the guy to die, but I don't want anybody to die just because I disagree with him. But I didn't like this Pope. You know, this Pope, he went and Pope Francis met with J.D. Vance. He's been a very large critic of the Trump administration. J.D. Vance met with him yesterday. So the last major, political figure that Pope Francis met with before dying was J.D. Vance, which is interesting. J.D. put out a nice sentiment towards Pope Francis. So we'll see that. We could do a whole episode on the Catholic Church and a lot of the stuff, but I could do a whole episode on the American Church, period. The mega church movement, and everything
we'd be here
else.
all day.
Yeah, we could do that.
We'd be here all day.
Trust me, folks, those of you who think I don't know what I'm talking about, I promise you I do when it comes to both the Catholic Church, the Pope, as well as the American church movement that's going on right now. But I will say this, it's interesting, we come out on Easter, a statement like that is made from Donald Trump, but then you see an angel, a dark angel fall from a high place, and I'm not referring to the Pope, I'm talking, you could take that where you want, I'm talking about Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab, who was the head of the World Economic Forum, has resigned. Another news story that happened overnight. He's gone, and he's out. He's down. Now, does that mean the World Economic Forum is going to stop being a socialist institution that wants to have a one world economy and a one world government and a globalist? No. But that's Klaus Schwab. You will eat the bugs. He's out. He's out. So you know what? Klaus is gone before I ate the bugs, and you're never going to get me to eat the bugs. I can tell you that. So yeah. Interesting. I'm curious to see what's going to develop on this Klaus Schwab. He does look like a supervillain, right?
He really does.
Yeah,
To me, he looks like a Bond villain to me.
Yeah.
He definitely looks like a Bond. Like he should have a cat down here petting it. Hello, Mr. Bond.
To me, he looks like what's his name from the Saturday Night Live? That master of disguise. Looks like that turtle. Like Dana Carvey, is that what it was? That's what it looks like to me, dude.
Yeah, he's like, "You will eat the bugs, Mr. Bond."
Am I not turtly enough for you? That's what it looks like to me.
Turtle. Oh, man. From the World Economic Forum to your retirement, I want you guys to get away from what the globalists are recommending, and I want you to talk to my friends over at Birch Gold. I want you to text a very simple word, DEAR, D-E-A-R, to 989898. Talk to our friends over at Birch Gold. Text DEAR to 989898. You might have that 401k that's sitting there doing nothing. Maybe it's from a former employer, or you got an IRA from, it's just not doing anything. And you need some help, and you're in a weird economic time. Well, let me tell you, with all the tariff talk, Trump, there's one thing he excluded from the global tariffs was gold and silver bullion, and that is good news for those of you who want to have an IRA backed by precious metals, particularly physical gold. Gold has always held the standard of being the currency, measurable currency throughout all of human history, and the folks at Birch Gold are extremely optimistic about the potential in the days ahead. Back up your retirement, secure your future with an IRA backed by physical gold. Birch Gold can help you do that. They will send you a free, no obligation information kit. Get over on birchgold.com and read some of their articles. They're very fair. They're very honest with stuff. And we've talked with Philip a number of times on this program from Birch Gold. And these guys, I love them so much. Text DEAR to 989898. They will help you. They will be very gentle with you. They will walk you through the process. They will explain all that you need to know for your retirement, folks. Text DEAR to 989898. I know a lot of you want to just die in the saddle with your boots on one day, but text DEAR to 989898. Birch Gold will help you. All right, let's get into there's more of those anti-Trump, First of all, before I get into that, did you guys have a good Easter? We talked about it, but did you guys have a good one?
Me and Kendra spent 8 hours in the movie theater.
Yeah, tell me about that.
So
what did y'all do in the movie theater, Todd?
We go to your show, you and Jesse's show that night. We wake up in the morning, and I have been pissed for like 4 weeks because I forgot, because I'm a big fan of that TV show, The Chosen. Well, the new season's out in movie theaters right now, and we watched the first part and completely missed the second and third part. Well, this was the last weekend that like parts 2 and 3 were going to be played. they're not playing here in my hometown, so we found a theater in Hattiesburg. Part 2 came on at 11, and then the finale came on at like 4. So I was like, crap, man, it's a 3-hour drive. So we ended up watching part 2 at 11. We went and watched The King of Kings, and then part 3. We was in that movie theater from like 11 to 7 p.m. Like just going, people were watching us like, again? Again? Like,
You were loaded up on popcorn.
Oh,
and can I
man.
just say to those in the chat, those of you who are Dear America family and fans, Todd Spears eats a lot of salt.
a lot.
Eats a lot of salt. And I
Yes,
say
he
that because
does.
I know y'all had to get double buckets of popcorn just so you could salt your own.
That's true.
Tony, did y'all have a good one, buddy?
We did, man. We had a great had a great weekend. Yeah, hung out with Graham and Alyssa on Saturday. It was the baby's birthday, and then Sunday we all got together as family, and my father-in-law freaking cooked up steak for everybody. Him and his
All
wife
right.
cooked up steak, dude. I was like, wow. So I mean,
Beans
there was
don't
food,
burn in the kitchen.
food galore.
Burn on the
And then
Well,
after
moving
that,
on up.
and then after that, I went home. It was like 4:30, 5 o'clock. I went home, and my impact drill stopped working. So I took that sucker apart, and I was just cutting wires off of it and trying to figure out why it stopped
Handy
working. And
Manny.
just,
Yeah.
I just, nah, dude. You know what it is. The thing's only a year and a half old, and obviously, it's just one of those things that just it boils my blood to know that something that I bought a year and a half ago that gets seldom used.
You do know Lowe's sells them every day, right?
No, I do. I know
Every day.
the money's not it's the whole whole
Principle.
principle of the thing. Yeah, it's the principle because I took it apart to see why it's not working anymore, and I came to the realization that it just doesn't work. So I tossed it against the wall. It was about 2
Oh,
hours
boy.
worth of time, and I was like, okay, it's fine.
Handy Manny getting after
Handy
it, man.
Manny.
I bought a power tool last year and I opened it up and somebody had used it, broken it, put it back in the box and returned it. So that was
nice.
good. That's the
That's
kind of
great.
stuff.
Yep.
That's the kind of stuff you get these days, man.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, but yeah, it was a good day. I was we traveled through the night, got all the way back home, got home about 4:30 in the morning. So it was kind of a zombie land yesterday around my house. So speaking of zombies, more anti-Trump, anti-Elon protests over the weekend. Of course, that's what they're going to do. CLC in the chat, cry libs cry, cry libs cry. This is some unedited footage from the deal. A bunch of pasty white. This was Greensboro, North Carolina.
Yeah.
This doesn't quite look like the demographic.
Yeah, no, these are the only cracktastic people that live in Greensboro. I used to work there, and I'm gonna tell you another depressing thing about this clip in Greensboro. This is where the Battle of the Greensboro Courthouse took over, where the tide turned of the Revolutionary War. This is where the area that we basically won the Revolutionary War. This is pitiful.
Play this clip. Look at these pasty white ladies.
We will not give up.
More songs.
Standing for
Nice hat,
democracy,
Beatrice.
we will not give up. Justice and equality, we will not give up. Just like a tree that's planted by the water, we will not give up. Honor and integrity, we will not give up.
It's the old lady hat
Transparency
society.
and
I'm
decency,
shaking in
we
my
will
boots,
not
literally.
give up. Just like a tree that's planted
Look, is there a guy up there filming with a Trump hat on? We got a red hat up there, buddy.
All right, that's enough of this nonsense. Good Lord, have mercy.
We will not give up. Not
There's that guy. There's always that guy. There's always that guy who hasn't bathed since '81.
Yeah, that Jerry Garcia's cousin right there.
Tie-dyed something in the sink. There's always that guy. You know what? Those guys right there. I just want you to look. This is what a liberal progressive looks like. This is what happens when you get older. Your testicles have been in your wife's purse for 50 years of marriage.
For real.
You've never had your own opinion. It's been given to you by Beatrice, the hat maker over there. She has henpecked you to death. You were given your political opinion. All you wanted to do was drink your beer and smoke your weed and go to the Jimmy Buffett concert. But at the end of the day, she drug your fat white butt off the couch on Easter Sunday morning or whenever it was over the weekend and made you go stand out there where she sang her stupid songs with her idiotic choir that they wrote their songs that were, we will not be. Lady, let me just tell you something. Nobody is impressed. I'm not impressed. I haven't seen anybody on the left that I say, these protests are a force to be reckoned with. Maybe I need to change my mind. And the thing about it is how many people go out there with a microphone and they're like, we just want to know what you're here for. Like, what are you all about? And they're like, F you, MAGA. And they got their fingers up in the camera. I'm like, why can't you guys just have a conversation? This is why, Todd, you and I don't go to things like that.
Uh-oh. Somebody's hacking into our thing.
Somebody's hacking
into our stream. Oh, my God!
What up, everyone?
As soon as I said,
you said his name more than once. You said it 3 times. You said his name 3 times. He shows up.
He appeared like the Candyman.
That's like
he did. He literally broke in.
I saw you guys talking about being in the movie theater all day, and I was like, "Good Lord, we've got to talk about something better than that for 5 seconds." What's going on, everybody? Let's get some American flags blowing up in the chat right now. There's 20-something thousand people watching this show. I want us to absolutely break Rumble servers right now. I might have talked to them right before I got on here, and they don't believe you can do it. I told them, I said, you don't know Dear America very well. Break the freaking chat right now with some American flags. I want this thing to break down. I want me to start sputtering and stuff because the system can't handle it. Let's freaking go. How are you guys doing, man?
Where's the clap? Where's the clap?
It is amazing to see you guys. Let's go. Let's go. Break the chat right now. Break it. I miss you guys 100%. I got to come home this weekend. I head back to the swamp of DC today. Let's go. Keep that stuff going. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. There is an all-out battle right now against Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth.
There is.
Coordinated attack going on. There's so many things that I can't say, but there's a couple things that I can. What you're seeing is the rot inside of DC. What you're seeing is how I would imagine cancer cells reacting to chemotherapy for the first time. It's not going to be this nice affair. You're going to see evil doesn't want to be rooted out. Evil doesn't want to be gotten rid of, and things get kind of messy across the way. Right now, we need to stand firm. Don't believe the first reports you hear. There's a lot of things coming out. I'm like, oh, the neocons and da-da-da-da-da. Shut up. That is not what shh. Be quiet and let the people like Pete Hegseth, like Dan Bongino, all these people that were put in these big positions, give them a minute to work and let them cook, ladies and gentlemen. Keep those flags going. Don't slow down right now. I can only be here for a couple minutes, but let's go. I miss you guys 100%. Like I keep saying, TikTok, deployments don't last for forever. And people ask me all the time, is it as bad as you thought it was? And my response is simply, it's not worse, but it's just as evil as you thought it would be. So since I've been talking, we're nearing 5,000 comments in the chat. I can see it just since I've been on here talking. Let's get to 5,000. I just want to say thank you guys for all the support. I miss you guys more than you know. I got to see Tony yesterday for a little bit of time, I am very tired. There's definitely that. But here very soon, I've been told I might have an opportunity to work 3 what some people would consider full-time jobs. So I'm super excited about that. I'm probably going to die at 50, but it's going to be worth it. I miss you guys. Keep supporting the show. Keep supporting Chad, Todd, Tony, everybody laying it down in my absence. I appreciate everybody still showing up every single day. And I promise you that I will not be away for forever. We still got some work to do in DC, 100%. But I love and miss you guys. And that's it. That's all I got. I just wanted to hop in really quick and say, hey.
Hang on, Graham, before you go anywhere. Come on, you keep talking. You're going to be done told him some stuff. Hey, I want to know though, with this so-called new signal leak or whatever, and I know you can't say very much, but obviously this is a targeted attack against Hegseth.
I'll answer what I can. So What I can report is, on top of that, forget that for 5 seconds. That was leaked the same time that this Politico article came out from a guy named John Elliott, and it's spelled Elliott or whatever. And what you're seeing is a disgruntled person who didn't get the job that they wanted and or was incompetent in that job. Here's what you need to know. For the MAGA faithful, for the America First movement, if someone who claims that they're pro-Trump, the second that they claim they resigned, but the Pentagon says that he was forced to resign, the second that person goes and pins an op-ed to Politico, that's all you need to know, okay? First of all, that this person who is a Trump loyalist has a relationship with Politico enough that within 3 days of being fired, he's allowed to publish his own op-ed within Politico. I don't think I have to say a whole lot. I think that speaks for itself. Read between the lines. There are people that are part of the establishment that have attached themselves to Donald Trump, very much like coral and just all this stuff at the bottom of a boat. It's not part of the boat. It's just these sick little people that latch on across the thing. Well, we're cleaning it out. We're scraping the boat off, and these people don't like it. So everything that you're seeing, just remember, evil doesn't want to be eradicated. They're going to fight back. They're going to whine. They're going to complain. They're going to piss. They're going to moan. They're going to do all this kind of stuff. Let them do it. Let them do whatever they got to do, because at the end of the day, the people that are actually doing the job that they were sent there to do are going to be vindicated 100%.
There we go. Insider, baby. Insider. He revealed nothing. He revealed nothing, but that's good stuff.
There's a lot of things that I can't say, but what I can say is this. President Trump is absolutely killing it, 100%, okay? Yes, there's going to be some butt pain with the tariffs and stuff like that, as I've told you guys for years. You got to buck up, kiddo. You got to put your big boy pants on, your big girl pants on. No sissy girl pants, no SSGPs, no cry, cry, none of this bull crap. It's time to buck up or shut up, because we got work to do. The end. And oftentimes, very much like when you work out for the first time, it hurts and it's painful and oh me, oh my. We're good. Have a steady hand, ladies and gentlemen, because work is being done. Now, are some people sucking? Pam Bondi, I don't know. But either way, we got things to do across the board. So just let it work. And I promise you, some of this stuff is going to work its way out. Anyway, I love you guys, miss you guys very much, and I appreciate all the love. Since I've been talking, I see it in here, like 8,200 comments just from being here. One more time, let's try to break Rumble's chats.
Let's do it.
I miss you guys. Let's get some American flags blowing up in the chat one last time. Make sure you hit that like button, too. I don't know what the crap's going on with the like button, but let's make sure we hit that like button. Make sure to hit the share button. Let's freaking go. American flags in the chat. If you stand with President Trump, if you stand with J.D. Vance, if you still stand with Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense, I want to see some American flags blow up in the chat right now. And I cannot wait until the day that I'm able to be back with you guys full time. But until then, I got to go back to the freaking cesspool that is DC. But I miss you guys very much, and I appreciate all of you. Keep showing up every day. Chad, Todd, Tony, you guys got it. Later, guys.
Love you,
We
buddy.
love you, buddy.
Hey,
We're praying for
Love
you,
you
man.
guys too. Bye.
God bless you, bro.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh
there you
my
go.
God!
There it is. He don't want to talk about your movie adventures. He didn't want to
He
talk about
does. He won't
that,
talk
man.
about me going on. He's like,
I was just saying, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
Graham's like, no, we're talking about better things. That's
talking about better things.
Good but there's good information though. That's great to know, and that's something that everybody needs to be reminded of, because there's a new Signal Gate thing that came out where they're accusing Pete Hegseth of basically putting out positions of military members or something like to his wife, and it's like this is a total hit job, dude. This is a sabotage thing that's going on, and so I love that Graham, Royce, the other guys, Amjad, they're in there, man. They're behind the scenes, and there's so many things that I think we're gonna find out in the days ahead when we can. TikTok. Graham won't be gone forever.
No.
We're gonna hear that screaming all day long. Thank you for blowing up the chat. Keep that sucker going. I like the little dancing Trump emoji.
Yeah, I know,
Come on,
I like
blow
that
that
little-
sucker up. Pop it.
Look, I can't do it. I got a bad back, but I mean, I can do this.
The floss, you can't do the floss there.
Not with this back. Nope.
You know, I've never seen anybody quite like Graham who can get a crowd motivated, get them moving like that, and just get them just rocking and rolling. And like even now that Graham's going, it's like people are out of breath. They're like, oh, I can't even push the button anymore. Can't push the button anymore. Oh, can't push the button. Hey, let me remind you guys before we get into it, we're gonna go. We're gonna Rumble raid Vince's show on the hour. So that'll pop up in the top of the chat, and you'll be able to click it. You'll be able to join Vince's show and blow it up over there. You're free to come back with us and hang out to the final of the show, but we want you to do us the favor. Go over to Vince's show because it helps the algorithm, folks. Everything is about the algorithm. Make sure that you bump over there. And you know what? You might want to stick around with Vince. You might be tired of us. But either way, at the hour, it's going to be the Rumble rate will be at the top of the live chat. You'll be able to click it. You'll be able to join Vince's show. Please click it. No matter what, click it. Click join on that little button. And let me tell you about my friends over at Backyard Butchers, backyardbutchers.com/Chad. Meat is going through the roof price-wise. They have given you a price lock for our listeners here at Dear America for the rest of, the rest of the month. Yeah, actually, they're going to go further. I think they're going to do like 30 days where you can lock in the price at backyardbutchers.com/Chad. And you'll have a price that's guaranteed for the rest of the year. So you can get your steakhouse box, backyard box, farmhouse box, whatever, delivered every single month. Get on there, see what steaks and what beef you want to get, what's going to fit your family. You can actually get a whole steer, half steer, whatever. They'll deliver it every month, so it doesn't take up all your freezer space. You don't have to put a whole new room in with a freezer. But get your beef. It is Texas raised on Texas ranchers, no hormones, no steroids, no vaccines. It is grass-fed, grain-finished, makes them fat, and it's beautiful steak. Party Foul Steve, he cooked some steak the other day from Backyard Butcher, was telling me how good it was, and I'm ready for some myself. So check them out, backyardbutchers.com/Chad. Get that price lock right now. You got a couple more weeks to do that, but I'm not sure when that ends, but it's going to be pretty soon. So get the price lock done, backyardbutchers.com/Chad. Will guarantee you prices for the rest of the year. All right, let's move into this. We can go back to some of that stuff that we had in Block A, Todd, but I want to talk about this lab. The White House. The White House came out and put a link. A lot of people were putting it, said, do not go to covid.gov. Like, don't you go visit.
Don't
What
do it.
happens? I mean, it's so beautiful. It's like, oh, it's a loud thing.
Oops, so okay. There
I mean, it's
it
like
is.
telling the kid, don't touch that button.
Yeah, man, you
They're
can't
gonna touch that button.
Like, I don't know about you guys. I know me. You tell me don't touch that, I'm doing it.
you gotta touch it. So everybody
gonna
did.
happen. That's why I can't be the president. Mr. President, do not touch the red button. You mean
Yeah.
this one?
Oh, you're that kid, Tom.
I'm that kid.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
that kid.
So for those of you who didn't go, if you scroll down, they've got the origin in there. I mean, they break it down point by point. This is all the stuff that we were penalized for talking about for years. This is why I can't get anyone on YouTube to watch my show because I'm so, penalized over there. I might as well be deplatformed over on YouTube, even though we put the show there. I might as well be deplatformed there. That's why we moved everything over to Rumble as much as we could, because we're penalized. All the stuff, now the White House is putting this out and saying, this is the statement. We said this stuff all along. China.
You know, this would be my question though, Chad, and I'm not trying to be funny here. I'm being honest. Like, at this point, because like I wasn't doing this, I hadn't evolved into hot seat Todd during this COVID stuff. But wouldn't you possibly hire an attorney, go back, look at this, take this information, and file a lawsuit? Because I know you and Graham and a lot of influencers lost a ton of money because of this.
Let me say this. Not only because of, say, being deplatformed or demonetized or whatever, whether on social media or YouTube or wherever it was, because this is our job, right? We run our mouth for a living. You might not respect it, but I think it's an honorable job. If you think it's so easy, you should try it. But let me just tell you, not only that, how many live entertainment shows people lost? I mean, venues were closed down, restaurants shut down, theaters shut down. economy was plunged into Great Depression numbers and even worse. How many people were required to go out and get a medical procedure just so they could go out in public? You know how many shows I had to cancel because the venue was requiring a vaccine passport? And I said, absolutely not. I would never require somebody to go out and get a medical procedure to come to my crappy comedy show.
Yeah.
And so how many shows did I have to cancel, which, by the way, I'm canceling. I've already canceled this weekend in Panama City because a whole other reason, which I'll make a post about, but you can't run a business like that, lady. And we're canceling that show. So if you bought a ticket to that, you get a refund from the deal. But we're not going to work with people that don't do right.
Well, and I know that you and Graham and a lot of other guys that were basically the tip of the spear for the conservative movement. Y'all are owed money and apology, but I think the people in this country that are owed the most are the kids that got taken out of school. Because for some kids in this country, that was the only meal they were getting. That was the only safe space that they had. But no, you sent them back to the abuse, the neglect, the lack of food over something that a man created, and then you lied about it and covered it up. No, you owe the children of America a massive, it's unforgivable. You don't owe them an apology because apology ain't going to do jack.
Yeah, depression
you
rates.
You owe them a massive.
Depression rates, particularly in young people, went through the roof. Suicide rates went through the roof. People died. You talk about they didn't. You know what they didn't have a ticker for? They didn't have a ticker for depression and anxiety. They didn't have a ticker on CNN for jobs lost. They didn't have a ticker on there for marriages lost. And what did we do? We took our kids out of school and put them in front of another screen. Mm-hmm. Another dadgum screen. You wave goodbye to grandma as she dies alone in the back of the nursing home. And you couldn't talk about that. And then you had to, and this is a whole deal.
Do it. Go.
Let me just tell you, you guys want to do an interesting study, and one day we'll do it on my show or something like that. You go back there and you look at 1912, 1911, John Rockefeller, richest guy in the world. You know, he basically, he creates the American Cancer Society, or he's funding the American Cancer Society. Nobody ever talked about cancer. They never did. And then World War I happens, and they take the mustard gas they used in the trenches and started using that as a big pharma medicine for chemotherapy. They used mustard gas for chemotherapy. So they made big business. And so they started making cancer a big deal. It was like a big no-no, right? And so what they did was they created a fear in the people in order to create a product, and they turned it into a trillion upon trillion dollar business. This is exactly what they did with COVID. The elites of the world, your Klaus Schwabs, your Bill Gates, your Fauci's, all these guys, they found a puppet in Fauci, and they went out there and they unleashed this thing. They created it in a lab. They leaked it out there. Whistleblowers, people that were out there talking about it, people that were questioning it, whether it was the Joe Rogans of the world, all the way down to me and my little munchkin mouth whispering it out there into the ether. We were shut down. We were villainized. We were crucified. We lost income. We lost money. We lost friends. People lost their freaking minds. Not a single person's been arrested. Not a single penny has been paid back in retribution. I mean, you're right, Todd. There needs to be, I demand some justice in a deal like this.
You took the kids out of schools. You took the kids away from the church. I mean, there was no place for these kids to go. You know, you had family members like dying in hospitals alone, surrounded by nobody but oxygen tents and stuff like that. One of the worst times in American history, and somebody needs to be, well, not somebody, somebody's need to be perp walked over this. And I'm sorry, we need to drop Ebola on China.
And it goes to show you also, I mean, for me, anytime something like this comes out again, any big SARS is coming out, or another COVID or birds or something like that, it makes me question everything now, because they literally lied to us to the point where, I mean, I lived in Oregon back then, and Oregon is such a blue state that people were driving around with their face masks in their cars. That's how ridiculous it was.
Oh, they still do it.
People would come into the restaurant where I used to work at, and nobody would shake hands. People would like bump elbows, or they wouldn't even touch you. And then they would come in with their face masks, and they would sit down. And because the government said once you're sitting down, you can take your face mask off. What kind of logic is that? That, you know, you're in a safe bubble if you're at your table, but when you get up to go to the bathroom, you have to put it back on. I mean, it's idiotic stuff like that we have to deal with all the time. And
yeah, I'm
you
that
guys are
guy.
100%, yeah.
Like,
You're
I'm
100%
that guy.
right about the kids that got it the worst, because I saw the effect. My daughter was in school at the time, and yeah, she was doing all the online learning, but she was just, I mean, it did a number on a lot of the kids that still haven't recovered.
Yeah, and Kendra was an educator then. You know, she was a school counselor, and like she said that. Said a lot of people are not thinking about this, Todd, like because she dealt with that stuff on a daily basis. You know, and I mean, you're taking them away the only safe space that some of these kids had.
Well, it's just insane. It's just
and,
insane.
and just to know that they lied to us about all that, it's just, oh my gosh, it just
us.
infuriates me, man. It just, oof.
Lied and penalized. Penalized. You couldn't talk about it. Now ivermectin, like it should be an over-the-counter drug. Like we should be touting that as a miracle drug in a lot of ways. You know, there's a lot of different treatments that are out there, but again, they create the cure. They monetize the quote cure. They don't cure anything. They just manage it. Take and run the campaign so that every time, you know what they did? You know what they did back in the what decade was it? I think it was like the 60s, 70s, when they started saying if you feel bad, go to the doctor and see because it might be cancer. That was literally a commercial they used to run. It might be cancer. So you know what people were doing as soon as they saw like a little mark on their skin or they felt a little something, you know, they immediately ran to the doctor. And they ran up. They literally created out of a commercial campaign, a propaganda campaign. They created big medicine by driving people to the doctor. They did the exact same dadgum thing with COVID. They created fear. You had to obey the stickers on the grocery store floor, maintain 6-foot distance. You could go north on aisle 7, had to come south on aisle 8. You had to wear a mask into a restaurant, but if you lowered your fat ass into a seat 7 inches in the restaurant, you could take the mask off because down there you were, you know, invincible.
You were safe. You were good.
Stupid.
You were good.
It is idiotic is what it was.
Yeah, I'm that guy. Like, I'm making fun of you. Like, me and Kendra went to a grocery store, and like I hear this child that was probably like 4 or 5 just sprinting up and down the aisles. I look, mama standing next to him, mask, face shield. Kid has no socks, no shoes, touching everything as he's running, no mask, rubbing his face, touching his mama. I'm like,
Yeah.
Good job,
I'm just
lady.
saying,
I know. Hold on, real quick.
go ahead, Tony. Please, yeah.
I know we're never going to know the answer to this question, but I wonder how many people actually died from the vaccine and not actual COVID.
We'll
because
never
they,
know that.
They will never
Never
know,
know.
but they rolled that out so quick, and the doctors were pushing you to take it so much, and I was always like, no, I'm not going to take that. That's an unproven whatever. It's not a vaccine. Whatever you're pushing on me, I'm not taking that down. You're crazy.
Yeah,
but
no,
I mean, we're never going to know that information. But you know, it's that kind of stuff that our government was going through. It was like a freaking shadow op operation. They were trying to just push it on everybody. I was like, nope, not me.
Yeah, and they will say this. They will say this. And I want to move on real quick because we got a few minutes before we do the Rumble raid for Vince's show. But I mean, they weaponized people like flight attendants. I mean, flight attendants. You were trying to put a mask on a 2-year-old that was pitching a fit, and they were ready to put people in prison because the 2-year-old that was fighting putting a mask on.
Yeah, I'm that guy. Like, I'm looking at you like, you know, we're going to my son's soccer game outside.
And then
Outside.
Yeah.
And I said, I told the cop, I said, no, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm outside, bro. I'm not. Well, it's a mandate. I said, is that a law? And he looked confused. I was like, what's going to happen if I tell you no and just walk by you?
And I never forget that old girl put that article in the Atlantic where she said, we're asking for amnesty because we overreacted. No amnesty.
No.
No amnesty and still no
No.
forgiveness.
Nope.
Corporately, there is no forgiveness for that. There wasn't a mistake. It was leveled against us. They weaponized the medical industry against us, and they weaponized people because, you know what, suddenly everybody felt empowered to enforce something because you give somebody that doesn't deserve authority a little bit of authority, even if it's built on a freaking lie like COVID, and they will run over you with Gestapo tactics because that's human nature.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, I've said this little piece multiple times here on this show, on my show. That's what the government does. Like, they lie to you, they overdo things, they overcook things, they hide things, and then 10 years later, when they think nobody cares, they'll go, yeah, that was us.
Yep.
That was us.
Yeah. No amnesty. I actually put a T-shirt on. I think you can still get it at prathertees.com. It says, no amnesty. No amnesty, no forgiveness. Let's talk about Van Hollen just for a second. This was interesting when he went down and finally met with this Garcia guy in El Salvador. And want you guys to put those American flags, like Graham said, in the chat. I told you at the beginning of the show, float it in there. Don't put the El Salvador flag in there, although I appreciate President Bukele. And don't put a Maryland flag in there, for crying out loud. So this is what Chris Van Hollen said. This is how we got to El Salvador. Play the clip.
Who did pay for this trip?
This was an officially cleared, congressional trip, cleared
So
on a
taxpayer
bipartisan
dollars.
basis.
Taxpayers.
Yes, like every other trip.
Yeah.
And there's 4.
Now they're down there. More of them
There's
are down
4.
there.
4 of them are down there right now. 4.
I want you guys to take something away from this. Like, do you have the clip of him meeting with the guy?
Yeah,
like
I've got
he's down there.
the picture here.
Yeah, put the picture up there. There's the
Margaritas and just for reference, okay? Because I posted this picture on Facebook, and you can look down here. This guy's hand. All right, Trump had a photo of this, and a lot of people are like, "What does that mean?" Listen, I was a recruiter in the Army for a long time, and I know a lot of y'all know this, but we literally got classes every 6 months on gang affiliation tattoos. Okay, this dude, I have no doubt, I have seen that physically. Seen these tattoos myself. This dude, no doubt, I don't need a judge to tell me that's a MS-13.
Of course it is.
100%. The marijuana is the M. He's got a little sign that's an S. The cross is a 1, and the skull is a 3. If you look at the side of the skull on his little pinky, it's the one side is shaped like a strong 3. No doubt. I have no doubt that that's what he is.
But here's what I want you to pay attention to besides that. Look how they dressed this guy for this meeting with Van Hollen. Like he's a dad that just, like a blue-collar, hard-working guy that just came in from work, and he's there to meet with his senator. I mean, they got him, a shirt from Walmart or Kohl's, and he's got a little hat on. They're like, this is an American dad. This is what they want you to see. This is a guy who had numerous indictments for different violations. This is a guy who beat his wife. She was completely passionless whenever she said, please let him come back home. Again, it's all about the optics, and they're just down there having a little brunch chat. And now you got a bunch of Dems down there doing it again.
Yep.
They've never, we said this last week, we don't have to beat a dead horse, but they have never at any time come in and said, we're going to go fly overseas and get an actual American citizen.
Yeah, I didn't see them flying over to Afghanistan trying to get the thousands of Americans they left. Ron DeSantis did.
Right.
They didn't go to Gaza and try to get the Americans from there. I mean...
Well, and again, people are asking about why is he not in CCOT? Why did Bukele let him in? I don't know that he's actually a criminal in El Salvador. He was a criminal here because he was an illegal alien. He was a criminal here. I don't know if he has any, transgressions or any crimes committed in El Salvador for them to be able to keep him. But they definitely let him out, and he's there meeting with them. It's like,
just the level of disrespect, that these politicians are. Their optics, like you just said, Chad, the optics of it, they're taking the time to go over to El Salvador to go help this guy who killed Rachel Morin. I mean, it's just, if that was my daughter or any one of my family members, and we had our elected officials going over there defending a POS like that,
yeah.
We literally need to split this country in half. Like, you guys keep all your freaking degenerate immigrant illegal people over here. You guys, I'm like done with all these freaking
Well, he's in violation of a number of things. The Logan Act. There's numerous things that Van Hollen. This is ridiculous, but it's just a slap in the face.
It is a slap in the face to not just their family, for all of us, all of us American citizens who are actually trying to make this country normal and right back to normal to help our own American citizens here, but we're spending our tax dollars to go send our politicians over there to go defend a murderer.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. Like, I'm totally cool with this though. Like Van Hollen, these other Peckerwoods that are down there right now, please keep doing it. But please, at least until the midterms get here, just keep doing it. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great, because you're going to get skull drug in the midterms, and then we'll have J.D. Vance and probably Trump as vice president in 2028. So keep doing it. You're doing great.
It's almost 10 o'clock, Todd. Do we have that?
Yep,
I've got it up. I've got it here.
Before we send you guys over to Vince, make sure that you throw that American flag in the chat. Throw that American flag. Somebody said, why all the American flags? Because we're Americans, and we like to see it. I want it to look like the 4th of July just threw up. So we're going to put the Rumble Raid link up in the top of the live chat right there. Everything's checking out. and I want you guys to head over to Vince's show, blow it up. If you need to come back for our super chats or whatever, you can open up 2 windows, but see what Vince, get his takes on everything. Go check out Vince, and there it is. Booyah!
There you go.
Booyah! You guys can head over there.
Boom, boom, shakalaka.
See what's up. See what's going on with Vince. Bam! Mine automatically just switched right over there to it.
I can't click it.
Too.
Booyah! And there, I mean, if you see Vince's thumbnail, he's got a close up right there of the knuckles.
Yeah.
The MS-13. It's all
Yeah,
described out just the way
the
Todd
little smiley
said.
face is an S. The cross is a 1. The skull, the side is a 3. I was trained on this every 6 months.
Yep.
Well, let me tell you this. This guy could not join the Army. Like, he couldn't. Like, he would not be. That tattoo right there, those 4 items, nope.
Yeah. Well.
But there's no proof, though. There's no proof that he's an MS-13.
Oh, they'll tell you that all day long.
Yeah, just 2 judges, 2 federal judges. Homeland Security. Because what is a tattoo in a tattoo DOD tattoo book? 2 federal judges, and and Homeland. What do they know?
Here's let's go to MSNBC. MSNBC cut away from Trump talking about because he was revealing who Garcia is, and MSNBC cuts away. Take a look at this clip. This is very telling right here. Come here, Willie.
Photos have emerged of Senator Van Hollen sipping what appears to be margaritas with Abrego Garcia down in El Salvador. Do you encourage other Democrats to fly down to El Salvador to meet with this illegal alien who's an accused wife beater?
I like this guy. See, now this is the kind of reporter we like. There aren't enough of them. We got to get some more of them. But no, I appreciate that question. No, look, he's a fake. I know him. I know them all. They're all fake, and they have no interest in that prisoner. That prisoner's record is unbelievably bad. If you would go into the room, you might, if you would, Caroline, maybe go into the room and see if you can find that little slip. I wrote some things down. I don't know why you'd want to keep them, but we got a little biography of him.
Did you help set up that?
Not a very innocent guy. Yeah,
Did you help set up that
on the IRS,
Mr.
President,
in
the spirit of Easter Sunday, and
while we're on the subject,
He gets the piece
right?
of paper.
So you're talking about Abrego Garcia? Is that the one? Yeah. Is an illegal alien, MS-13 gang member and foreign terrorist. This comes out of the State Department and very legitimate sources. I mean, I assume I'm just giving you what they handed to me, but this was supposed to be certified stuff. In 2019, Garcia was issued a deportation order. 2 separate judges affirmed Garcia was a member of MS-13, which is a gang that may be even worse than Tren de Aragua, and maybe worse. They kill people with knives because it's more painful. Very famous for the knifing and killing of 2 young 16-year-old girls walking to school one day, and they sliced them up into little pieces and killed them. That's MS-13. And 2 separate judges affirmed Garcia was a member of MS-13. When Garcia was originally arrested, he was wearing a sweatshirt with rolls of money pouring out, an MS-13 gang symbol that he was driving with 2 other known violent MS-13 gang members, 2 of the most violent members that we know of in the MS-13 gang of thugs. In 2022, Garcia was stopped by the Tennessee Highway Patrol and was found to be transporting 7 people from Texas to Maryland, and he had no driver's license. He was driving violently.
Yep, got a lot of those lined
In 2021, Garcia's wife filed for a protective order from him and said he was violent and abusive and really scary, including allegations that he punched and scratched her.
Scoot forward on that clip,
eye,
Todd, where they cut
left her
away.
bleeding after the point I'm wanting us to fly. Isn't it ridiculous? To certified statements.
Cut it. Forget it.
5. Most of them about this guy like he's an angel.
Oh, good Lord.
I know. Anyway, forget it. MSNBC wasn't having it. You guys can watch that in your own time. It was crazy. But here's what MSNBC had to say. Let's clip over to this. So here is this is their logic. Yeah, you got to do it. This is a minute. I want you guys to see. Start about at the 30-second mark here with her. Okay, start right here. Play it. Right there.
And she says that what we are seeing now with the lawlessness from this administration are really the canaries in the coal mine gasping for air. I'm paraphrasing here. But to me, that is why Kilmar Abrego Garcia's specific case, the case of the gentleman who's a makeup artist out of California who was also sent to that prison. That is why the 75% of the folks who have been sent, the men who have been sent there that don't have criminal records, that is why this is so important. Because if they could do it to them, if they could snatch students off the street without any pushback or recourse, they will do it to any of us. And to be very clear, it's going to be the people of color and vulnerable communities that are next in line.
I think that's right, and that's certainly part of why the African American community is so strongly behind the supporting
right
Kilmar.
there.
That train is never late.
So that never. And so that what Trump said earlier was that they don't care about him. They don't care. This is all about the agenda. So that guy that chimed in and said, well, particularly about the African American community, that's why they're so concerned and supporting. Let me unpack that for you guys just for 1 second. First of all, that's a Democrat congressman from Maryland. When she said that, I saw numerous people in the comments that she didn't say they were coming after black people. No, she said, let me be clear. They're going to be coming after vulnerable communities, particularly people of color. And then he doubled down and said that's why the African-American community is so supportive of these guys like Garcia. Let me tell you who shouldn't be supportive of illegal aliens, and that is the black community, because they are going to replace you. They're going to replace you on the welfare rolls, the welfare list, the Social Security, the Medicare, the Medicaid, all the stuff that you've been getting for government assistance in an impoverished condition. It's going to be replaced. I've been saying this for years. You will be the first ones to go. So if you are a member, and I hate this term, of the black community, and you are in support of someone who is in this country illegally, then you statistically are ignorant of your own plight or the plight of people of color. That's a statistical fact.
Man, I can't. Oof.
I mean, but you're right. That train is never late.
It's never
They're going to
late.
come out with the race thing, and the whole deal's got to make it. Ultimately, this is, and you know what? They're so racist. It's just like Crockett, Jasmine Crockett coming out, and you alluded to it earlier when she says, I'm not going to pick the cotton. We need the illegals here to pick the cotton.
Yep.
I mean, if you're going to deport the illegals, who do you think is going to pick the cotton? We not picking that cotton.
So I have a question for you guys, because you're both white.
I am?
Yeah, yes. You're more white than I am.
Oh, okay.
Have you guys been contacted by a white organization saying that, hey, man, it's time for us to get rid of all the people of color? Like, have you been contacted by the KKK or the white supremacists, or, it's time to get rid of all these people? We started with the guy from El Salvador, and now it's time to move on to the black community.
I mean, I got my membership card in Dakota Ring the other day, but I haven't gotten anything else from them. But no, that train is never late. And the worst part is not that the stupidity is coming out of her mouth. I mean, because obviously, whoo, man, that's a rooster fish in full view right there. But there are people that are listening to this and going, you know what? She's right. They are coming after us next. Like what?
It's brainwashing, dude. They've already believed it forever. So now to say that, it's like, well, if they'll come after this guy who is a dad who's wearing his little plaid shirt, sitting there with his senator down in El Salvador, if they come after this dad and deport him, then of course, well, first of all, here's the deal. If you're a black person, unless you're here illegally, you're not getting deported anywhere. Where are they going to send you? Back to Memphis?
And that's the thing right there, Chad. You're that is exactly 100% right, Chad. I was just going to ask you. I was going to say, that those people that are sitting in that newsroom that are talking about it, and everybody knows this in the chat, if you are an American citizen and you're not breaking the law, and you're a law-abiding citizen here in the United States, you have nothing to worry about. It's all the people that start all the race war and all that stuff because they're trying to divide the country, just like Obama did. He was the one that started this whole thing with not backing the men in blue, not saying anything about religion when he was in the office, and not calling people who are terrorists. He started dividing the country back then, which we're still dealing with. And 100%, it's in my soul, down to my inner core. If you are in this country and you want to be in this country and you are proud to be an American and you are proud to be in this country and you appreciate this country, you have nothing to worry about. On the contrary, this country is going to be good to you because you're going to be good to the country. That's just the way it is. I mean, plain and simple. There's nothing racist about anything about that. And these people who keep coming up with the whole race card, it boils my blood because, like I just said, it is just a ridiculous argument. Nobody has ancestors anymore who picked cotton, who had plantations. All those people are long gone. We need to move on from all the racist card and just be Americans, plain and simple.
My grandfather, we were just in Hattiesburg the other night, Todd. We were there together. Yep. My grandfather, before he went to South Carolina, where my father's from, he was in Hattiesburg. He moved over with his family from southwestern Mississippi. They were sharecroppers. They bounced from cotton farm to cotton farm. My grandfather picked cotton. I mean, that's what they did. So this whole thing is again, they've blackwashed, or whatever you want to call it, whitewashed history. People have been brainwashed by all this stuff. But at the end of the day, if you watch that clip of what she said, if you really pay attention with critical thought, what she admitted was the guy was here illegally. He got deported. And how many people have come up and said on social media or wherever, and they've now said, well, we just want to bring him back so he can have due process. And then if they deport him again, well, at least we know they did it the right way. No, he's here illegally. So the Biden administration allowed for millions upon millions of unvetted illegals to come across our border into our country, and we paid them and transported them once they got here, cared for them. And now, after millions of unvetted, and by the way, none of them came over here with a vaccine passport card, right? That was just for us, not for them. They came over here unvetted. Now they want us to do due process with every illegal that's here and now vet them through a court. You know how many billions of years that would take before we can have a deportation order if you take every individual that's come over here illegally?
Yeah, and in the same breath, I mean, nobody was raising 9 kinds of hell and traveling all over Mexico, El Salvador, and Guatemala when Obama was putting people in cages that he built.
Yeah, and
let's not forget that.
And to clarify my point, they're not entitled to that due process.
No, not at all.
Let a civil liberties lawyer in El Salvador or wherever deal with them.
Yeah.
That's not our deal. You came here illegally, unvetted. We have people who have died because of federal policy with an open border, and now it's time to get rid of you. You put them tattoos on your fingers and face. You gotta go.
You gotta go. And I mean, I think the mic drop moment, and they can say whatever the hell they want to say. The dude is home. Like Maine's not his home, or Maryland, or wherever. That's not his home.
He looks like he's
home.
doing pretty good.
He's home right now. And so that's up for El Salvador to decide what to do with him because he's not our citizen. He doesn't belong to us.
Let's play a couple of clips. We got to go. We got to run out of here. Todd's on this afternoon. I'm on this afternoon. Maggie Moo's on this evening. I think she is. I don't know. Is she on Mondays?
I think so.
Flip it down. Let's do this Trump clip. If you want to get in the super chat, I do want to play that right there in Ethiopia. That's pretty powerful. Before we get into that, if you want to be read in the super chat, $5 or more, it all goes to Graham. Maggie Moo says she is on tonight. This is Ethiopia. Boy, that's a mass of people celebrating the resurrection of Christ, man. Play that clip right there.
No idea what they're saying, but I love it.
They having church, man.
I love it. I'd like to be right in the middle of that. That'd be amazing.
Skip over to the Trump clip and let's jump out. We'll pray and then go over to the super chats. Here's a powerful Trump clip. Here's where we sum it up, folks. Right here. Play this clip right here.
It will always be in God we trust. We will never change that. There's a movement to change it. It will not happen. We won't let that happen. Can you imagine a movement to change that? Robert, you're not happy about that when you hear that. Look at him. He's getting angrier and angrier. We can get angry too, can't we, huh? No, it's never going to change. And with God's help, we can overcome every challenge, triumph over every evil, and restore the spirit of faith in the United States for generations to come. We have a very simple slogan, make America great again, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're making America great again, and I like to add that I really believe greater than ever before. So once again, let me wish you all a very joyful and blessed Easter.
Love it.
You know, I do believe that Trump was always a Christian. I don't know what kind of Christian he was prior to him being shot, but I think he's a different type of Christian ever since Butler, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
I think he's fully on board, knows that was the hand of God, knows that God was involved in that particular day in Butler, and I think he's on board. Like, I really do.
He came close. He came close to his own mortality, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Let me pray for us real quick, and then we'll jump over to the super chats. And thank you for the Rumble family jumping over on Vince. Make sure that you, if you didn't rate his show, and jump over there once we're done as well. Let's keep this live feature going. Let's pray. Father, we thank you. We thank you for a president that you have placed in a position where he openly speaks about in God we trust. Lord, we do trust in you because you are good and you are just and you are righteous, you are faithful, you are merciful, and you're full of grace. And we thank you that your love has been poured out in us in the person of Jesus Christ. We thank you for the death, the burial, the resurrection of Christ. We thank you that with sacrifice comes great life, and you have demonstrated that to us. So regardless of the hard times we're in as individuals, as families, communities, or even as a nation, we know that there is always resurrection power available to all of us, and so we thank you for that reminder. I pray that every day we would live out the resurrection. It would not be one historical event, but it would be a daily event that we can experience personally and corporately across our country. Father, give us that spirit of renewal, that refreshing, that revival. Lord, let that same spirit, as we saw those Ethiopian saints crying out to you, Lord, let that same spirit be pervasive in our own world and culture. And Lord, let our hearts cry out in worship and praise to the one whose providential hand has brought us thus far in human history and made us great. And Father, we pray that it's your hand that will make us great again. And we pray it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right.
Okay, let's do some questions.
Do the questions.
All right, from MX wife, Cusack voted for a party who celebrated murder of babies at the DNC convention. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why I didn't really pay attention to that stupid statement, because the dude's a rooster fish. Mystified Wanderer, will there be any more giveaways? It's been a minute since the last one, and it's something fun to do with the Dear America family. Sure, we're giving Tony away next month.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I'll come and mow lawns and do construction and
all kinds of stuff.
Whatever you guys need
And
me to
by
do.
the way, let me say this. So we did our giveaways. Todd, I need to coordinate with you. I had a bunch of our shipments get brought back. Houston mail system sucks. So our giveaways from a couple of weeks ago, we haven't forgotten you. They came back. So we got to send it out again. I got a bunch of stuff that's got to get sent back out again. So I got to get make sure we got the correct information, Todd, on everything.
Okay, cool.
You remember for what was it, Trevor?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so let's make sure we got all that.
Got it. Mama Christie, where exactly is the like button? I can't find it anywhere. It is literally, I think it's directly under Tony.
Right under Tony.
Yeah, right under Tony. There's a thumbs up, thumbs down. Hit that thumbs up button. Click it. Do it now. All right, from Daniel Davis. My mother died from the jab. She had a major clotting in all her limbs that went from her feet to her hips, her shoulders to her hands. Her immune system was completely wiped out. Yeah, well, I thought it was interesting, which we all remember that player from the Buffalo Bills that literally collapsed during the game. And when he did the interview, they asked him about the COVID stuff, and he's like,
I'm not talking about that.
I'm not talking about that. Well, you kind of did, bro. Alicia Victoria, no such thing as due process if you're not a citizen. The same rules do not apply. How much louder do we need to say it? Man. Julia Stoff. Finally can watch you guys live. I'm off work today because of Easter Monday. Thank you, Chad, Tony, Todd, and Graham. Great time as always.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julia. And that's it. That is all.
All right. Well, I'm canceling. We're canceling the Panama City. I hate to do it. I've never done it quite like this. In all the years of traveling and touring around the country, I've never had a venue that just refuses to communicate with us when it comes to the details of being there that weekend. We were going to be there Friday and Saturday night. But Panama City, I don't know, man, it's a little crazy. Did you guys see that the mayor said no more spring break in Panama City? People are shooting each other and going crazy and losing their minds. So I don't know, maybe there's some overflow of the insanity going on there. But I'm like, no, I'm not going to go. I'm not traveling halfway across the country for a show that you won't even respond to us. You haven't done any advertising for the show. People have gotten lazy. That's another thing that COVID brought along.
Yeah, for
Nobody
sure.
wants to work
100%.
anymore.
Yep. 100%.
Nobody wants to work. I mean, the service industry is all but dead because nobody wanted to work. You had the help wanted, and then you're like, please be patient with us because we're understaffed. They couldn't get people to go back to work. You incentivized them not to with stimulus checks.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Insanity.
All right, boys. Todd, you're on. You know what? Tony, what you got, buddy? Final words.
Nothing. Just want to tell everybody thank you for watching. It was a great, blessed weekend we had. I hope everybody had a blessed weekend. I hope everybody had a good Easter with your families. It's great to see everybody on here. We had a ton of people watching again today. We had almost 30,000. Yeah, so it's great to see the numbers growing. And thanks for supporting us, guys.
Yeah. Had a little cameo with Graham Allen. Who's that guy? Love it.
Who's that dude? No idea.
All right, Todd, what you got, Bubba?
Well, I mean, y'all can catch me at 3 o'clock on the hot seat. You can make sure to hit the like button on your way out. Please hit the like button on your way out. And for the 10 people that hit the thumbs down button, guess what? Your mother doesn't love you.
Hang a pork chop around their neck so the dog will play with them. I'll be on at 2-1 Central. If you missed it, go back to my Thursday episode on the Chad Prather Rumble or wherever and look at the video that I did. It was a short, very brief one about living in light of the empty tomb and what the resurrection means for you, the power that's available to you. So go check that thing out, a little Chad's Church deal. I'll be on this afternoon at 1 Central. In the meantime, check me out, watchchad.com. Lots of fun stuff going on, and that's where all the fun stuff lives right there. So go see what's going on. Yeah, all right, for Todd and Tony and for Graham. Great insight from him as well. We'll see you this afternoon, and if not, we'll see you tomorrow morning once again on the Dear America program. We love you. God bless you, and we'll talk to you then. Bye.